Kolo Muani has become one of the best and most complete strikers in the world right now. He's one of the top goal scorers in the Bundesliga this season with Frankfurt, and he has also played an integral part in France's World Cup final run in Qatar. However, his story to this point has been interesting and different to other players. He joined the Nantes academy in his late teenage years, which is not ideal, and was even sent out on loan to a third division side in France. However, Kolo Muani never gave up, and 2 years later he's worth over 70 million euros, and now top clubs around Europe want to sign him. So how did Kolo Muani overcome so many challenges to become one of the best strikers in football right now? Well, let's take a look at the rise of Kolo Muani's career. Kolo Muani was born on December 5th, 1998 in Bondy, France, the same place where superstar Kylian Mbappe was born and raised as well. Anyways, Kolo Muani lived in the Paris suburbs where he fell in love with the beautiful game and he used to love playing against his older brother and dribbling against him. Then in the suburbs, he developed some decent footballing technique and ended up playing for teams such as Villepinte, Tremblay, and US Torcy while he was still a kid. Then in November 2015, a month shy of Kolo Muani's 17th birthday, he finally joined the youth team of Nantes. Usually top footballers have been playing in a football academy since a young age, but that wasn't the case for Kolo Muani, hence why he was seen at a disadvantage. On top of that, Kolo Muani had to wait 3 years before getting his professional debut for Nantes, where he made a substitute appearance in a 3-0 loss to Saint Etienne a few days before his 20th birthday. 1 month later, he would get his first start against Angers, but in his debut 18-19 season, Kolo Muani didn't manage to get a single goal. Now for the following 19-20 season, some people at Nantes believe that Kolo Muani wasn't at the level required for Ligue 1. That's when the decision was made to send Kolo Muani on loan to a French 3rd division side called FC Boulogne. A 20-year-old was sent to play in a 3rd division side. Yeah, things were definitely not looking good for Kolo Muani. Not only that, he was sent off twice for Boulogne in just the first 5 games he played in, showing that maybe he wasn't the type of striker Boulogne could rely on. Regardless, Kolo Muani went on to score 3 times and get 5 assists in the 14 games he played for the club. He definitely could have gotten more, but the season was put to a halt because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and eventually he was sent back to Nantes. Now sure, the loan spell didn't go as planned for Kolo Muani, and things weren't looking good, but this is a reminder that making it to the top of football has multiple paths. You don't always have to be a highly rated prospect coming out of a prestigious academy to make it in the sport. There are multiple ways to make it, and Kolo Muani represents this perfectly. Anyways, in the following 2021 season, Kolo Muani put in enough work during preseason at Nantes to convince the head coach that he belonged on the team. Not only that, Kolo Muani then became a locked-on starter for the club and managed to get a total of 10 goals and 9 assists in 41 games in the French top flight. On top of almost getting double digits in both goals and assists, he played a huge part in saving Nantes from getting relegated. In fact, in the relegation playoffs against Toulouse, he scored an away goal in the first leg, which ensured that Nantes would stay in Ligue 1 for the next season. Now throughout the season, Kolo Muani played in the striker position, but also in the right wing position at times. However, it was clear that Kolo Muani performed better while playing up top instead of on the right, and that's why in the following 21-22 season, he was the main striker for the team. Also, in that 21-22 season, Kolo Muani improved on his individual stats, with him getting a total of 30 goals and 7 assists in 41 games. This improvement for Kolo Muani had the Nantes front office wanting him to sign a contract extension, since Kolo Muani was set to be a free agent in the summer of 2022. However, he kept denying a new contract deal, and instead he signed a pre-agreement with Eintracht Frankfurt in the middle of the season. Doing something like this in the middle of a tense season would usually be a bad look, and it could have caused Kolo Muani's teammates and head coach to turn on it. And in fact, the Nantes owner, Waldemar Kita, didn't appreciate how Kolo Muani decided to leave the club, saying that he's done everything to try to make sure Kolo Muani stays and how he could have given him so much more money than Frankfurt ever would. Regardless, Kolo Muani wasn't interested in the offer and he joined Frankfurt. Additionally, Kolo Muani's teammates and head coach at the time, Antoine Koubare, continued to put faith in the young French striker and never allowed things to turn sour between the two. Due to this, Nantes achieved something historical in the 21-22 season, and that was the Coupe de France. Nantes ended up beating OGC Nice in the final 1-0 and ended up winning this significant trophy. And for Kolo Muani, this was the best departing gift he could have dreamed of. With this, Kolo Muani left France and packed his bags for Germany. Now it was time for the 22-23 season, where Kolo Muani was finally playing for Eintracht Frankfurt, and in this season, he's really going off for the German side. He hit the ground running in the opening game against Bayern Munich, and despite them losing 6-1, Kolo Muani got his first goal for the club. Then on his first start, he set up Kamada's equalizer against Hertha Berlin, and then a couple weeks later, he ended up scoring and assisting in the win against Werder Bremen. Then in the Champions League a little later on, Kolo Muani helped send Frankfurt through to the round of 16 with the winning goal against Sporting Lisbon. And by the time the World Cup pause came, Kolo Muani already had 9 assists and 8 goals in all competitions. He was clearly in red hot form. However, in the initial World Cup squad for France, Kolo Muani didn't make it, with Didier Deschamps opting to go for other French attackers instead. Then in a training session before the World Cup, Christopher Nkunku from RB Leipzig got an injury, and he was declared out for the tournament. That's when Kolo Muani got the call from Deschamps that he was now selected to be on the France squad, and Kolo Muani made it to Qatar as soon as possible. Real quick before we talk about the World Cup though, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it and it means a lot, so thank you. Anyways, in the group stages, Kolo Muani only played in the useless game against Tunisia, where France surprisingly still lost 1-0. He then didn't feature in the game all the way up until the semifinals of the tournament, where he was brought on in the 79th minute against Morocco. Then, within 44 seconds of him being on, Kolo Muani ended up scoring the goal that clinched the game and put France into the final with Argentina. He scored a super important goal in less than a minute. Kolo Muani is just too clutch, bro. Moving on to the World Cup final, Kolo Muani didn't start the match. However, with Argentina being up 2-0 by the 41st minute, Deschamps felt like he was forced to make a change and threw Kolo Muani onto the pitch. Then, towards the end of the second half, Kolo Muani won a penalty after being brought down, and Mbappe scored his first of 3 goals in that game. Then, towards the end of extra time, when the game was 3-3, Kolo Muani had a one-on-one chance against Emi Martinez. He could have won the World Cup if he made the goal, but Emi Martinez came up big and saved the shot, which sent the game to penalties, in which Argentina later won. Sometime later, Kolo Muani spoke about the specific instance, saying he knew the moment off by heart, and how Martinez's good save ended up giving Kolo Muani nightmares. I can't imagine how that feels like. Well, no shit. I'm terrible at football. I'm never gonna know how that feels like. But still, Kolo Muani had the chance to win the World Cup for his country, and instead it ended up being a moment that's gonna haunt him for the rest of his life. Regardless, in football, there's no regret. You have to keep moving forward like you're Aaron Yeager. I say that way too often, not gonna lie. Anyways, this missed chance didn't affect Kolo Muani too much on the pitch, because regardless, he's still killing it this season. He's putting up insane numbers, and in 42 games in total this season, he's gotten 21 goals and 15 assists, with 13 goals and 12 assists coming in the Bundesliga alone, making him the second joint top scorer in the league right now. Kolo Muani essentially came out of nowhere and is now becoming a top headline in the footballing world. He's doing so well recently that Bayern Munich are the strong contenders to sign him over the summer. And if they do, I wouldn't be surprised considering how desperate they are for a new number 9. They haven't replaced that position well since Lewandowski left. Regardless, Kolo Muani had an unusual route to the top of football, but nevertheless, he made his dreams come true, which should inspire young footballers to never give up on their dreams as well. He went from playing 3rd division football when he was 20 to sharing the stage with Kylian Mbappe in a World Cup final with around 2 years. Yeah, Kolo Muani is definitely him. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to learn more about another top talent in football, Rodrigo, you should definitely check out this video I made right here. You won't regret it.